Greetings, salutations, and namaste, and Happy New Year for those who are celebrating the Western New Year, I suppose. The different New Years get celebrated at different times. And one of the interesting things I've recently learned about this time period is that the sun, in terms of astronomically, is closer to the Earth on January 4th than at any other point during the year. So this is after the winter solstice, of course, where the sun apparently, to ancient cultures, would disappear on its waning part of the ecliptic and then reappear in Sagittarius against the Milky Way. And this is where the idea of the sun being reborn and all of that comes from. So, additionally, the sun is actually right up on top of the Earth, apparently, during this period. And so that New Year's energy, sun being in Sagittarius, really gives a lot of revitalization. So those of you who have that solar axis, you probably have a lot of energy now, I bet. And you're about to get some more. So this drop is kind of in aid of those of us who feel like we're in the thick of it. And have been for the last couple of months. We're hopefully all going to get a little bit of relief coming up soon. So that's what I'm going to talk about in this drop. So really what we've got going on is a major shift all happening within this course of 9 or 10 days. What's going to transpire is movement in terms of planets going direct from retrograde motion and also planets moving zodiac signs. So whenever you see a confluence of this much planetary energy all converging during one period of time, you can be sure that things are going to shift. So any predictive elements that I might give, please take with a grain of salt, because this is all dependent on one's individual chart. And I'm going to be talking about it in terms of the Kalpurush, the natural zodiac, and what each zodiac sign numerically and in terms of a value signifies. So first we're going to start with, chronologically in order, Mars, Mangal, the planet of blood, of our immune system, authority, our agency, our ability to act on things. It's the soldier. So Mars has been retrograde for the past couple of months, and if you've seen any of my past couple of drops, I've definitely alluded to this as kind of a sneaky aspect of why everything's kind of been a little sluggish, whether it's your energy or just like moving things forward in your life. People talk about Mercury in retrograde. Mars in retrograde is where it really gets tricky, because it's a 2-month long transit. So really, you're dealing with a long time span here. So cut to the chase, on Friday the 13th of all dates, Mars will go direct from its retrograde motion. And Friday the 13th, for anybody who's interested, I'll have a little bit to say about the origins of that at the end of the drop. So Mars has been transiting in Taurus, and at the moment is really throwing a lot of activity from where it's positioned. Mars gives off, its aspects are 4, 7, and 8. 4 zodiac signs away from where Mars is Leo, and we're actually about to go right into a moon in Leo. So as I drop this video, Mars will be aspecting Leo. Mars will also be where the moon is. Mars will also be aspecting Sagittarius with its 8th aspect, where the Sun and Mercury currently are. So it's going to have a lot to say about the next week or so. And when it turns direct on the 13th, in Taurus, we're going to have, this is the natural second house of our values, of our bank accounts, the home itself. The second house rules so much. Venus ruled Taurus, and in these areas of our lives, we're going to be able to try and get more forward progress achieved, because Mars has been essentially working things out wherever this falls in your chart. That's the idea of a retrograde. It needs to clean up something energetically from a certain house. So it'll station up there, or even station in a couple of houses, as Saturn and Jupiter often do in their retrogrades, and cover the ground it needs to cover. So when it goes forward, it's a great opportunity to take advantage of energy where everybody else kind of feels like they're on their last legs, but you're Rocky and you've been saving yourself for this, last round. So push forward on the 13th with the idea that in the next 9 or 10 days, there's going to be a lot of shifts and changes. So, be ready for them and be able to take advantage of them. So, blessings for anybody who can. So we got Mars down, that's one. We've got 4 more to go. I'm going to try and zip through these. The next shift is going to be on the 14th, the next day. And that's when the sun will move out of Sagittarius and into Capricorn, where it will join up with Venus and Saturn. Saturn being the ruler of Capricorn. So, and Saturn's only going to be hanging out there for a few days. Now, what will be interesting is during these few days, the sun represents government, authority figures, and Saturn represents the common man. So look out for, between the 14th and the 17th, themes of the common man, authority, government playing out in your life in the public sphere, because that'll be very a key going forward. Next up, we will go with Saturn, because it is the next to move. Saturn will shift zodiac signs after being in Capricorn for 2.5 years. So this is kind of a big deal. When Saturn or Jupiter move houses, these are the planets of long-term stay in each zodiac sign. You can feel it in the micro and the macro the most. So when Saturn is moving into Aquarius, especially because of the proximity with Venus, we're going to see some interesting themes play out. So Aquarius is a natural 11th house, and this is what's cool about Saturn is there's a lot of sort of pejorative or negative associations, that it's the ultimate malefic, that it's the planet of your death or whatever. It's not. It's the planet of longevity. It's the planet of discipline, delay, restriction, restraint, all to benefit the ultimate goals of the benefit of culture, society, and humanity at large. So that's why on the individual basis, when you're looking at certain energies about me, Saturn's going to say, not today, pal. So, and this is, I'm talking from whence Saturn has given me these lessons, and it's paid off to essentially be dormant. Or I think Sun Tzu talks about, being formless. That's the kind of energy, that kind of Eastern martial arts energy that Saturn is best equipped to enhance. So anyhow, when it goes into Aquarius, this is a great house. This is what's cool about Saturn. Saturn rules, like when somebody says, what do you do? This is like one of the questions, people always kind of ask when you first meet somebody, what do you do? What they're asking is, what's your 10th house? What's your karma? What are you known for? What's your name and fame? Because this is all of what the 10th house rules. And it's our career. This is where we go to our office. This is the 10th house. Now, the other house is Aquarius, the natural 11th house. So inferred in what do you do is, how much do you make? Who do you know? And these are the elements of what Aquarius rules, the 11th house. So anytime you're thinking about Saturn being this dark, malefic planet, it rules the fun houses. Just keep that in mind. So now it's going into Aquarius, where the communal consciousness, community in general, these are the themes that will play out. And the next 2.5 years are going to be incredible to be a part of. So, and of course, next is Budaya Mercury, the planet of data, of information, of business dealings, of doing any kind of litigation, or getting your workout on. Mercury rules all these things: social media, mass communications, having your efforts, your initiations, your courage, your willpower and determination. Mars is the signifier of these things, but Mercury actually rules the numeric house, the 3rd house of all the things that Mars is good at. So what's really remarkable about this situation is Mars is going direct and Mercury is going direct within a space of 4 days, Mars is throwing its eighth aspect onto Mercury. Between these two planets, the action agency planet of Mars and the planet of information, communication, business dealings of Mercury, you can kind of see that there's a synergy that's going to be available that has not been available for some time. And those who do business and who have any of these planets strong in their chart would have felt this definitely. Mars, especially being in Taurus, which is the bank account house, and Mercury being in the ninth house, which is the house of experts, the house of authorities, the house of the highest level education you can get. This has all been influenced in the last month, especially, but the last couple of months overall. So once Mercury goes direct, it's game on, and this new year can finally kind of get started. And finally, last but certainly not least, the lady of the evening. Actually, a lot of people talk about Shukra as a masculine energy, but it's kind of hermaphroditic at the end of the day. Venus. Venus is Shukra, the planet of magic, actually, the planet where we can materialize resources out of freaking nowhere. Venus, Shukra in the mythologies, is where we get this Lakshmi energy, this energy of abundance, of being able to provide. So when Venus has been where she has been for the past several months, which is combust with the sun, and now has been entertaining Saturn, there's been a very interesting dynamic fluctuations in what Venus has had to deal with. You have the sun, which is the bright luminary of our soul, and now she's dealing with Saturn. And actually, Venus gets along better with Saturn than she does with the sun. Lakshmi, they say, is the consort of Vishnu. Vishnu is the operator. It's the stabilizing energy of our matrix. Venus has been hanging out with Saturn for a week and a half or so, and now that Sun will join them on the 14th, 15th, what did I say? 17th is when Saturn will move into Aquarius. So Venus will be with the Sun for a few days in conjunction in Capricorn. So between the 17th and the 22nd, observe those energies. See if you notice a huge difference once the 22nd happens and Venus moves back into conjunction with Saturn in Aquarius, where she'll travel for the next month or so. And whenever Venus and Saturn come together, I've heard that you can sort of see the reality of relationships, because Venus is the natural signifier of relationships, especially romantic relationships, but definitely business dealings too. The seventh house is where Libra is where all the stuff that gets discussed in the sixth house with Mercury and Virgo gets arranged and formalized in the seventh house. So that's everything from weddings to business partnerships to war. So when Venus comes into with conjunction with Saturn in Aquarius, it's a very strong energy about the communal relationships. Where does your relationship fit within the community and the communal consciousness? That might be some themes we see play out with Venus once she moves into Aquarius on January 22nd. And those of you who have experienced any kind of erratic relationship energy, look for some relief from that in March, and I'll do a separate drop on this when my favorite conjunction comes happening, Venus and Jupiter, and it will be in a house that enhances both of these planets bigly. So look out for that. Okay, now for a little histories, mysteries, syncretic mythology action here. I'm going to weave in some stuff I had mentioned in a previous video about calendar manipulation, and these 10 days, it was the 1500s, can't remember the exact year, but hey man, they just change it anyway. But yeah, during the 1500s, they took 10 days out of October 5th to October 15th. So what I'm about to talk about happened a couple of hundred years before that event, but during the same dates. So these are significant dates for whomever, whatever powers that be are engaging in these different rituals and ceremonial acts, as it were. So cut to the chase. On October 13th, 1307, Friday the 13th, King Philip IV issued a decree to basically round up the Knights Templars. So if you don't know anything about the Knights Templar, please don't look to certain actors in Hollywood to tell you what they're about. Do your own research, and what I've discovered is all sorts of things. Everything from they were essentially mercenaries for the Catholic Church who would help guide parishioners and pilgrims on their way to the Holy Land for their pilgrimage, and in doing so, the Knights Templar accrued massive wealth and a lot of ancient wisdom as well along the way, and became a formidable force, I think, to the Catholic Church as much as to anybody else. And what ended up happening, though, is this King Philip IV of France ends up being the kind of bad guy who takes responsibility in history, at least, for this mass execution and horrible, like they burned this guy Jacques de Molay at the stake. It was a vitrifying moment for the Knights Templar in their kind of transformation into what would become Freemasonry and what we know of as a lot of the Hermetic wisdom that's been kind of kept sacred along everything from anthroposophy, Helena Blavatsky's theosophy. These are all part and parcel of the same mystery school traditions. They're just simply approaching it from different angles, in my opinion. So anyway, this is where Friday the 13th actually comes from, is this massacre that happened in 1307. And a little side note about the Templars that I just kind of came across. And I think it does play into the Hollywood stuff as well, but I think there's a lot more nuance to it. Apparently, what the Templars were truly guarding the secret of was the marriage and potential offspring between Jesus Christ and Mary Magdalene. So this idea that there is a bloodline essentially that is royal, handed down, descended from Christ himself, that the Templars had been protecting. So that's kind of the major scuttlebutt, and I know that's been kind of done in books and movies and whatever, but it bears looking at through one's own individual research, in my opinion. So with that said, I look forward to joining the swelling of good energies that's going to be happening in the next few weeks with all of us. So blessings, and may everyone have a joyous and prosperous new year.